and welcome to Steve McDonald's Arts and Crafts. Today I'm going to be doing a box. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to inlay resin in the holes here, and obviously you've got to seal the back first. So I'm going to be showing you how to do that, because if not the resin will just drop straight through. And then I'm going to paint the lid of the box red, and then I'm going to paint the base of the box black, and then probably varnish it at the end. But I will seal it first with the actual acrylic paint, because that way when you put the resin in here, it won't actually spoil or soak into this wood. It won't actually spoil the top. Okay, without too much further ado, I'm going to get on and paint this, and then I'll show you how I'm going to seal these holes so that I can put resin in. This is now had 2 coats of paint, of matte paint, and as you can see, it's I haven't done the bottom, but I will put a bit of felt on the bottom, so I'm not too worried about the bottom. I've painted inside as well, so that's inside and outside, because I want to ensure that it's very well sealed, so none of the resin, there we go, it's easier to see on the blue. I want to make sure that none of the resin comes through here and drips through. We need to create a barrier there, and I don't want to use tape, because I don't really think tape is strong enough for an area this big. And also, I get in a mess and it pulls up, and then it'll pull the paint off, and it's just, I don't find it successful. So what I've done is, I've bought some acetate, some thin sheets of acetate, and I've bought it in all different colours as well as clear. And what I've done is, I've cut that so it fits quite snugly inside that box, because that is going to be the layer that I pour onto. Now, I'm not worried if this comes out or not, because once it's in there, it blends nicely with that box, and you're not going to see it from the front anyway, because that's going to be full of gold resin. So you now need to use the method to stick that into the box. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a little bit of sandpaper, just a small bit, okay, and I'm just going to go over and slightly scratch up this acetate on one side. And the reason is, it will allow the glue to stick more effectively on the acetate and on the wood. So it doesn't need too much scratching up, it just needs a bit of roughing up to give it a bit of a grip surface. I'm going to go over that with a cloth and it's just a baby wipe. Let's put that on there. It's just a baby wipe to get rid of that dust, because I really don't want that dust inside my resin or inside preventing my glue from sticking. And it's surprising how much difference just roughing it up a little bit, sounds like you're beating it up, then I'm going to rough it up, will do for the glue. Now, the glue that I'm going to use for this is, and you can use really any good quality glue, is I'm going to be using Ultra Stick solvent-free, non-toxic clear glue pen. And the reason I'm using this is because I can squeeze this out quite well, like so, and then just spread it over the whole of the acetate. Now, I think it's better, personally, spreading it over the acetate, because I want the acetate to stick everywhere. I don't want to miss a bit on the filigree wood, because if I do, then what's going to happen is it's going to bleed through that area. And because it's quite a fiddly filigree bit as well, I want to make sure that I've got plenty of glue. I'm going to let that glue sit there for about a minute, just because it will kind of even out a little bit before I put it in. So that's now ready to put in, and literally all I do is I just pop that in there like so, and I've made sure it's a really, really snug fit. Then I go over it with a cloth to make sure it's as pushed down as it can be onto that filigree. I want to put a piece of cardboard in first, and then put a weight on it. So I'm going to push that cardboard down, making sure that there's no glue on that side of the acetate so that cardboard sticks. And then all I'm going to do is take my little jar of rice that I use for measuring out how much resin I need, put that in there like so, so there's a weight in it, and I will let that dry overnight. The acetate now should have glued on there successfully, so let's just take this bit of cardboard out, double check. Yeah, that's been glued on there quite successfully now. So, and then I'm going to be using either a pipette like so to fill it in, or I'll be using a piece of stick or something to drop it in the more delicate areas. Okay, so let's get on to that. Now, I've prepped my pipettes, as you can see here, and I've got the resin in them, and I literally will just be popping that in there and filling it up. And it's ever so easy to get resin into a pipette. Now, I want this so it's virtually to the top, because what I don't want to do is overpour, or I don't also want to, when it shrinks back, for it to be very concave. And I'm going to work in a methodical order from top to bottom, because I think that way I know how messy I am, and I'm not likely to put my arm in it. And also I wipe the tip of the pipette off each time I've filled up an area, so that I'm not making a mess and dripping it everywhere. And this is a fairly thin resin, and I would recommend that you use a casting resin for this sort of thing rather than a pouring resin, because a casting resin does tend to be thinner, and also if it's thinner it's easier to put into the pipette, and also it will find its own level and fill in all the spaces. Okay, so this is me starting. I'm not going to sit here and do all these on camera, because I'm sure that you would be extremely bored watching this, and I don't want you to be bored during my videos. So how I fill a pipette is I get a pipette like this, and they're actually quite a thin plastic. I then push all the air out of it by rolling it up like this. Then I pop the tip into the resin that I want it to suck up, and then it creates a vacuum, and then it will just literally, I don't know if you can see that, it will fill up the pipette with the resin that you want it to be full of. And I always have several of them prepared at once, so that I don't have to keep stopping and starting and filling them up. See you in a minute. Now filled up with resin, so we'll come back to this once this is cured and I've finished it off. The box is now finished. I'm really pleased with how it's come out, and as you can see, the resin there, the gold resin, worked really, really well. And I've done a top coat of resin on it, but just on the top, not on the sides, because I wanted that to shine. And the other side of it, let's turn it round that way. The other side of it has come out really well. There was absolutely no bleeding of the resin coming through, and you wouldn't really know that that was on there, that acetate, other than that it's given a glossy finish. Now, like I said, you can use the acetate with really a glue that's not permanent, and that'll be absolutely fine. So if you want to use filigree, this is the easiest way to do it if it hasn't got a backing on it. And I think this box has come out really, really well. I love the black and the gold and the red together. I think it pops. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. please let me know in the comments if you've got any questions or if you just want to say something. I love comments. And please like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Bye.